Hi everyone, welcome back to our class of Chinese traditional culture. After talking about Chinese symbols, Chinese languages, and Chinese values, in today's class, we're going to continue talking about Chinese norms and beliefs. Regarding the norms, we have known in the first session that there are two kinds of norms, formal norms and informal norms. Formal norms are established written rules, such as Chinese laws and regulations. The informal norms is usually considered as customs and etiquette. China is known as a state of etiquette and ceremonies. In tradition of China, everyone was required to follow certain rules based on their social status and age. The sitting, walking, or eating all had strict criteria. Here I would like to introduce two etiquettes in the tradition of China. The first one is walking etiquette. In the history of China, while walking with someone with higher status or from an old generation, people should lower their heads, bend down, and walk a little bit behind him or her. If someone needed to pass by an elder or a superior, they should bow down and walk fast using smaller steps. In the past, except with an emperor, people wouldn't walk in the middle of roads or stand in the middle of a door. They were supposed to walk or stand on one side. Nowadays, most of these requirements are not strictly applied unless in very important or official occasions. Next one is the sitting etiquette. In daily etiquette of Chinese culture, the seat order is an important representative of status. This is still widely, even strictly applied in China today, in both family and business dinner. Everyone should be sitting in an appropriate position at dining tables and other gatherings based on their status and age. If someone doesn't know the exact position, he or she should wait and follow the host lead. As we can see in this picture we offer here, so in Chinese culture, the best seat is the one that faced the east or the door. So we can see in these two examples, the seat 1 actually is the best seat. And the hosts always sit facing the west or facing the most important people. The second best seat faces the south. Then those face the north or back to the doors are usually the positions for the juniors. That's two examples of Chinese norms. The last but not the least components of Chinese culture is Chinese beliefs. So China is the multi-religious country. Taoism, Buddhism, Islam, and so on have all developed into the culture-shaping communities throughout Chinese history. The freedom of beliefs is a government policy, and normal religious activities are protected by the constitution. For many of China's citizens, their religion is a defining feature alongside their national pride. Well, Many think of China as a homogeneous culture. It may surprise you to learn that the religion scene in China is quite diverse. So even though there are many atheists in China, but most of the world's major religions are practiced by native Chinese people with great devotion. Religion and philosophy are often intertwined in China. Taoism and Confucianism are two examples of philosophy beliefs in China that also carry a religious element. In ancient China, the Confucianism, the Taoism, and Buddhism constitute the three teachings that have shaped Chinese culture. There are no clear boundaries between these intertwined religious systems, which do not claim to be exclusive, and elements of each enrich popular to folk religion. So these three teachings have left a collective and lasting impression on Chinese culture and tradition. Confucianism propagate the Ren, Le, and Li rituals, signifying respect for society and social hierarchy. The Taoism advocated the controversial philosophy of inaction, and Buddhism emphasized on the need to attain self-emancipation through good deeds. Though the term "three teaching" is often focused on how well Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism have been able to coexist in harmony throughout Chinese history, the evidence has shown that each practice have dominated or risen to favor during certain period of time. The emperors in China would choose to follow one specific system, and the others would kind of like discriminated against or tolerated at most. An example of this would be the Song dynasty, when both Buddhism and Taoism became less popular, and Neo-Confucianism was followed as the dominant philosophy. Now let me introduce each teaching one by one. So the first one, Confucianism. Confucianism is often characterized as a system of social and ethical philosophy rather than a religion. It developed from what was later called the 100 Good Schools of Thought from the teaching of the Chinese great philosopher Confucius. It has played an important role in forming Chinese character, behavior, and way of living. Its primary purpose is to achieve harmony, the most important social value we mentioned before, which is He. Confucius was China's most famous philosopher, and he lived in ancient China during the Zhou dynasty. Confucius was a government official, and during his lifetime, he saw growing disorder and chaos in the system. Perhaps due to the injustice he saw, he set himself to develop a new moral code based on respect, honest education, kindness, and strong family bonds. His teachings later become the basis for religions and moral life throughout China. The Confucians believed that a good government was the basis for a peaceful and happy society, and the basis for good government was a good officials. So in order to become a good official, a person had to master the following 5 virtues, which is 仁、义、礼、智、信. So Confucianism became the dominant political philosophy during the Han Dynasty because Confucian teachings were conservative and told people to maintain their role in social order. The philosophy was used by the state to keep the status quo from that time forward. The structure of Chinese society and its focus on ritual, family respect, and obligation, worship of ancestors, and self-discipline. These remain greatly influenced by Confucius and his teaching. The next one is Taoism. So Taoism is a Chinese religion that developed a bit after Confucianism. Around 2,000 years ago, in contrast to Confucianism, the Taoism is mainly concerned with the spiritual element of life, and including the nature of the universe. In the Chinese language, the word Tao means way, indicating a way of thought or life. The Tao is considered unnamed and unknowable, the essential unifying element of all that is. So everything is basically one despite the appearance of differences, because all is one. So matters of good and evil, and of true or false, as well differing opinions, can only arise when people lose sight of the oneness and think that their private beliefs are absolutely true. So Lao Tzu was an ancient Chinese philosopher and writer, the founder of philosophical Taoism. He is known as the reputed author of the Tao Te Ching, which described the Tao, offering instructions on how to live a happy and spiritual life. So in this book, a key principle and important concept of the Tao is that Wu Wei. So Wu Wei is a concept literally means no action, no doing, but it really means to go with the true nature of the world and not strive too hard for desire. This puts Taoism in opposition to Confucianism in another way. So it is not concerned about with the humanistic morality, government, and society. So all of which Taoists see as the inventions of humans and not necessarily part of the Tao. So despite their differences, the Taoist and Confucian ideas are not completely at odds with each other. So Chinese society was able to absorb concepts from both traditions. So Taoism has influence on literature and the arts, but the biggest area of Taoist influence actually was in science. The Taoists focused on nature elements and observing how the nature world works helped to create Chinese medicine. The third teaching is the Buddhism. So Buddhism was the third major belief system of ancient China, and which is still the most important religion in China now. It is generally believed that it was spread into China in 67 DC during the Han Dynasty, from the Hetian in Xinjiang to central China. So during its development in China, it has a profound influence on traditional Chinese culture and thoughts, and has become one of the most important religions in China at that time. The Buddhism is a philosophy that focuses on the personal development and attainment of deep knowledge. So the Buddhists seek to achieve enlightenment through meditation, spiritual learning, and practice. They believe in reincarnation and that life is impermanent and full of suffering and uncertainty. The way to find peace is through reaching the nirvana, a joyful state beyond human suffering. Actually, part of the reason Buddhism became very popular in China was because of Taoism. So some Buddhist practices were similar to Taoist ones, and the Buddhist monks would use the Taoist concept to explain the Buddhism to the Chinese. So to overcome the culture and language barrier between Indian and the Chinese people. The Buddhism also influenced Taoism, which with its institutional structure, which Taoists copied and modified. So there is the competition between the Buddhism and Taoism to gain more followers and great government influence. And this competition increased the vitality of both religions. As Buddhism became more prevalent, its concept merged with Taoist and Confucian ideas to become the basis of ancient Chinese society and government. Its influence is seen in Chinese art, architecture, and literature. So the values and ideas from the Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism are still prevalent in Chinese culture today. But despite the differences and occasional contradictions between the three teachings, the ancient Chinese society held each of these philosophies in high importance and incorporated the different teachings into multiple areas of life. Alright, so this is the end of our class about Chinese traditional culture. There's the homework for everyone here. So I want you to compare your own country's culture with Chinese culture in terms of 5 components of the culture we mentioned, which is the symbols, languages, values, norms, and beliefs. So please talk about the commons and the differences about the topic above, about the culture, compare your own countries and the Chinese culture. And then record a short video around 5 to 10 minutes. Alright, so thank you for having this class with me. I hope you can learn and understand Chinese culture a bit more after this class. Alright, so thank you, 谢谢大家，再见。